What's going on, my geeks? Welcome to Home Base Serenity. I've got a bit of a different video for you today because, as you can see, I'm in Minecraft, not Fortnite. I've been planning to do a video showing off the first world I ever played Minecraft in, but there's a new, very special build I wanted to add to the world first. It's a special build that deserves its own video going over the significance of it, why it's so important to me, and to show that it was built 100% in survival, since I know people like seeing survival builds. This project took about 80 hours to complete, including the time spent recording the time lapses of the build, but it was well worth it. So I hope you enjoy this time lapse of me building the Green Ranger's Dragon Dagger. About a month or so ago, on the morning of Sunday, November 20th, as I was waking up, I happened to see a trend on Twitter that I didn't want to believe. #RipJDF was trending. Jason David Frank, the original Green Ranger Tommy Oliver, had apparently taken his own life. As I read through the trend and saw reputable sources confirming, my heart dropped. See, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and any kid who grew up in those two decades knows how much of a phenomenon Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was. Tommy actually became my favorite Ranger not long after he was introduced in the first season. I vividly remember seeing the commercials previewing the miniseries that introduced Tommy, Green with Evil, where he was introduced as an evil Ranger under control of the big bad Rita. At the end, the other Rangers broke the spell and he ended up joining the team. Tommy was so popular with the fans that they ended up giving the character more screen time than was originally planned. That did cause some logistical challenges though. Power Rangers has always been based on a Japanese series called Super Sentai. Each season featured a different team with different suits, powers, and enemies. The first season of Power Rangers was based on Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger. Tommy's character in the original, Dragon Ranger, also known as Burai, was living on borrowed time. So the Power Rangers version of that was Tommy gradually losing his powers. Tommy returned to the series just a few episodes after losing his powers completely, in a special two-part episode that to this day is considered one of the most legendary stories, White Light. Tommy was now the White Ranger, aka Kiba from the original Gosei Sentai Dairanger, who was actually a kid in the original. Sadly, his suit was the only suit that we ever saw on Power Rangers, as they kept using the Zyuranger suits. I mean, look at this. This is what we could have had. Anyway, becoming the White Ranger also meant Tommy was now the leader of the team. And he would stay the leader of the team through the third season based on Ninja Sentai Kakurenja. This time, the suits from the original Japanese show were used for the alien Rangers from Aquitar. Then, Saban finally decided to actually start using the suits from the season they were adapting. So with Power Rangers Zeo that was based on Choroki Sentai Orenja, Tommy changed color yet again, becoming the Red Zeo Ranger. He'd stay red in Season 5, Power Rangers Turbo, which was based on Gekiso Sentai Karenja. Tommy and 3 others left the show halfway through that season, but that wasn't the last time we'd see Tommy. There was a special episode that aired during Power Rangers Wild Force, the 10th anniversary season, called Forever Red, that brought back every single Red Ranger from the history of the show. So Tommy was back again in his first of what would be one of many guest appearances in special episodes of the series and many comics and unofficial online videos until the day he passed. But it wasn't just special episodes that Tommy fans had to look forward to. 2 seasons after Wild Force, Tommy came back full-time in Power Rangers Dino Thunder, adapted from what is still my favorite Super Sentai ever, Bakuryu Sentai Abarenja. Not only was Tommy the mentor this time, he was also the Black Dino Thunder Ranger, based on the mentor from Abarenja. This series is still one of my top 5 all-time favorite Power Rangers series, and not just because of Tommy. The writing was great and the whole cast were great, honestly. The only thing they did wrong is that they completely dropped the ball on their adaptation of Nakadai Mikoto, aka Abare Kira. But I won't go into that now. This backstory bit has gone on longer than I expected. The day I found out, I went into my creative testing world just to test out and see if I could build a Dragon Dagger in Minecraft and have it actually look good. While I was doing this, and for all of the subsequent farming and terraforming, I was watching his episodes of Power Rangers and the 2 movies. As the week went on, the build evolved several times, not just in what materials I would use, but several other additions came to mind. One of the biggest changes was using what I considered to be more special materials for the build. So instead of lime, yellow, and black concrete like I had originally planned, I substituted blocks of emerald, gold, and coal respectively. Emeralds were easy enough since I had recently built a raid farm. Gold and coal were the big issue, as well as dirt for all the terraforming and filling in the inside of the build. The farming and terraforming to prep for the build itself took me all week long and was basically all I did after work each night. I ended up using around 2 to 3 stacks of blocks of emerald, about 13 stacks of blocks of gold, around 20 stacks of blocks of coal, and around 40 stacks of dirt. Even though lots of these materials would be considered quote-unquote expensive, it was the right thing to do because of how much he meant to me. Tommy and Jason David Frank himself was a lifelong hero of mine and of so many others. In the days since his passing, I've seen so many people talking about how he was such a great person and how much he loved his fans, whether they were 2 or 102, and just basically proving that he was pretty much everything Tommy was, but in real life. Tommy always believed in the power of others. He was always striving to do the right thing at all times, no matter how hard, and always tried to stay positive. And all of that inspired so many people to do the same, myself included. Even more so when you realize Jason himself was literally the same thing in reality. I was even blessed enough to have gotten to meet him once myself at Raleigh SuperCon in 2017, and he was just incredibly nice. My parents raised me to strive to always do the right thing, along with my time in scouting, and of course my faith had always taught me that as well. But to this day, I feel like the way Tommy was written and who Jason David Frank was as a person is actually a big part of why I am who I am and why I try my best to spread positivity wherever I can. That's why I had to use more special materials. And that included using some of those same special materials to build a walkway up to the memorial using blocks of emerald and gold and adding in 2 of the 3 kinds of frog lights. Now, as the time lapse of building all of this is coming to a close, I think it's time to walk you through part of the finished build. To do this walkthrough, I made a backup of the world, copied the backup, and made it as its own separate world so I could turn on peaceful difficulty and creative mode. This other world here is the actual world that I play on that is 100% survival. So let's go into the world and start the walkthrough. Starting with the pathway. I wanted to make a pathway leading up to the dagger and chose the materials I used because green and gold were 2 of the colors of the Green Ranger's suit. White was also a color, which is why I chose the verdant and ochre frog lights. Verdant having the green tint with the bright white from the light, and ochre having the same, but with an orange, gold, or yellow tint. As I finished up the pathway, I decided to add flowers along the path. If you'll notice, they're in groups of 5 representing the original 5 rangers. Purple for the Black Ranger, and then pink, blue, yellow, and red. I even put them in order by where each character was in the original morphing sequence. The very last thing I decided to add were the signs along the path. As you walk along the path, the signs have the lyrics from one of the incredible songs that Ron Wasserman wrote for the show called We Need a Hero. It reads, "And we keep dreaming of a world where all is good, so we were told we need a hero. And we keep dreaming of a time when good is all that we can find. We need a hero." Because he was our hero. Don't pay attention to that doorway in front of me. We'll get to that later. At the end of the path, at the foot of the memorial, the signs read, "Rest in peace, Jason David Frank, September 4th, 1973 to November 19th, 2022. Forever in our hearts, forever our hero." With the final sign on the podium reading, "May the power protect you always." The podium itself was made from cobbled deep slate stairs since it felt more appropriate than deep slate brick stairs, as well as blocks of gold and emerald. I also put soul torches on every block of gold, as well as on both sides of the blade on the dagger, as I felt they added to the ambiance. There are 4 lime carpets that you can see, but ignore those too, for now. In front of and behind the podium, I built fountains in green, white, red, and black to signify the 4 colors he wore as Tommy. Each fountain is made from that color of concrete and stained glass, with glowstone beneath the glass. And with that walkthrough complete, now I think it's time for the grand reveal of the dagger itself. Remember how I asked you to ignore this door? Well, now it's time to show you what it's hiding. There's more to this build than meets the eye. One last special detail. So I'll flick the switch as I present to you my Dragon Dagger.
Go, Green Ranger, go! Go, Green Ranger, go!
I I built a redstone contraption to hide the fact that I had installed beacons underneath the podium, and then put lime carpet on top of the beacons so that the stained glass was also hidden. One for each color to match the fountains, and then a green one in the middle. It just felt like a great detail to add, these beams of bright light going up to the sky. I just wish they gave off a bit more light than they do, because at night, the top of the dagger kind of blends into the sky. But other than that, I could not be happier with how this build came out. The end result was way better than I could have even imagined. I want to end this video with one last thing. No one could have imagined that Jason David Frank would take his own life. Not with how full of life he was, how happy he always seemed, and how he was always trying to help people. So I guess it's true what they say, the kindest people have the darkest demons. So if you or anyone you know is struggling with similar thoughts, please know that things will get better and that you are loved. I love you. Yes, even you that somehow found this video and are not already a part of my community. I mean that for everyone. Please reach out to someone you know and talk to them. Or if it's easier, I'm sure your country has a helpline specifically for people having those kinds of thoughts. I'm going to be leaving a link in the description down below that I hope will be the most comprehensive list of those numbers that I can find. And with that said, thank you all for watching. Stay cool, geeks. I love you all. Have a great day, and please stay safe out there.